Okay, it's Wednesday, March 8th, and this is an end of the day SPY recap. And today on the daily chart, we end up with a 2-down green bar. And it's a relatively small bar compared to yesterday. We did get follow through to take out the lows of yesterday, as we discussed in the pre-market video. But at the end of the day, we kind of closed up a little bit, and we'll look for a little follow through higher tomorrow. But I'll get into that, whole scenario in a moment. The main thing is we had expectations coming into the day that you might have this type of a day, taking out the low of the previous day, but having difficulty with momentum to the downside. Now, the question is, why did you have that, those expectations? And there's really a couple of reasons. First of all, we were coming into this big fair value gap. I discussed that on yesterday's video, and the low of that gap was right in here to fill that up. A lot of times you get support there. Then when you go to the weekly chart, first of all, you have a 3 up bar the previous week. We took out the lows of the previous week, then the highs, and now we're potentially working on a 3 down week where you would take out the highs of the previous week and then take out the lows of the previous week. Now that's pretty tricky to, for that to unfold, where you have 2 3 bars, one to the upside, one to the downside. So you kind of know you're running into an area where you might not get the follow through. Also, if you look at this weekly bar, the way it formed, you see there's a big buying tail in here, and the midway point of these buying tails are often support areas. So you're coming down, when you take out the low of the previous day, which was highly anticipated, you're coming right into a point down here, which is the midpoint of that, tail, that buying tail. So with all that in mind, you had expectations for taking out the lows of the previous day, but not necessarily getting the follow through. And of course, that's what happened. So it looks like you predicted that ahead of time, but in reality, it was just expectations. The market could have went all the way down and stayed red all day. But what you do once you have those expectations is then you kind of look at price action on the 15-minute chart, and you kind of see if that aligns with your expectations. That's kind of the final factor. So while people will look at this day and see it as choppy and confusing and all, to me, it was a very easy day to trade. One, coming in with the expectations that you would take out the lows of this day, but not necessarily get follow through. And then after, I'll show you the 2 opportunities that existed in terms of price action. So first of all, I got pretty aggressive buying puts here with the 5-minute reversal in the middle of the pre-market range, right near the open, because there was very high probability you were going to take out the lows of the day, and I just wanted to be aggressive doing that. So I kind of held on, and then again, like today, the Fed chairman was speaking. You got the big push down, and I discussed how I took partial, knowing that I didn't know if you could get continuation. I was very nimble and conservative, took my partial gains right here, and then I shot a video once this bar failed, and I can really go into the 1-minute chart and show you exactly what it looked like, the way it kind of came up. I decided I just want to take small gains on this trade and watch for the rest of the day and see what happens. Now, price did come up at that point and take out the high of the first bar in the pre-market highs and then failed. Now, you could have taken another trade here to go short on this 2 up, 2 down bar. And what happened was, for 2 bars, it kind of held the midpoint of this, this tail up here, and then it started lower. What happened here, and again, I wish I could go to the 1-minute chart, maybe I will at the end, but it came down a lot and it was heading towards there. You had a very nice gain on this trade. And then it was the type of thing where I'm not saying you should have taken your gain, but I'm saying once it started going down, knowing you're in this choppy environment, it's really going to have to penetrate through the, these 2 buying tails down here. You should have broken even on this trade and not really let it turn into a loss if you took it. Now, what happened was, I didn't take that trade. I was still watching it. It came up again, took out the highs. I then bought puts here as my secondary trade of the day, and eventually it went down to the lows of the day, and I was able to take my small gains because that's all I was expecting. This was a secondary trade to take those lows out, and then you could see the market pretty much after the lows were taken out just stopped there, got the 2 up bar, and by then you went up for the rest of the day. And clearly you're biased to the downside the whole day, so it's not like you're looking to get long here, but there was a good chance that this move is over once it went from here all the way, take out the low. So it really wasn't a tough day if you were very nimble and kind of tried some short trades. The first one didn't make it, but it gave you some nice profits. So you could have broken even on any of these attempts if you were really, and then on this one finally just didn't give you, it went, paused, and went all the way to your target. So that was the type of day that unfolded, and you end up with a green bar. Now, I don't want to get too much into it now, but essentially you have potential here for a little bit of follow through to the upside. You have a big fair value gap here. I'll get into that tomorrow morning, that you could follow through too. So there could be some up action, but we still have the downward bias in play. The only thing is, essentially you have this red bar. What's really unfolding is you have the three bar, two up. If this pauses for the next 2 days and doesn't go much lower, then you'll have the opportunity for a nice sell signal that will take out the low of that bar and head towards that area, should that unfold in the days ahead. But in terms of tomorrow, we have the actionable kind of signal to the up side, but without really much potential. It's not like I have any reason to believe we're going to come all the way up and take out the highs of the open of the week and turn this green. The month is still green. That's fine, but we're kind of working down towards turning that month red. We've discussed that for a while. So yeah, I'll look for maybe a long trade tomorrow, but again, I'll look for action to maybe not follow through all that strongly because we're going into a gap, although you never know. So again, price action as always will lead the way in terms of what really, how price unfolds in the morning. And if we get a strong green bar and it heads all the way up, then, maybe we're just heading all the way back up and we're going to turn this bar into, like another hammer bar and really head higher. But for now, that's not the expectation. We'll see what happens. We do expect the highs of this bar to be taken out a little bit and test into this area, but we'll have to see what unfolds. So anyway, that's it for today. Again, expectations were to take out the low of the previous day. So you had a good opportunity to kind of get in and at least get to that point. And then from there, knowing that the follow through would be tricky, there were all kinds of signs that that's what was unfolding. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.